Did Pokemon actually peak 90 days ago? This is a response video and just giving my opinions on Rudy's video where he basically says that Pokemon peaked 90 days ago and everything's overprinted. We'll touch upon that later in the video. So did Pokemon peak 90 days ago? That puts us right about May. And yeah, May was probably my best month. I think July was definitely a shit show for me. There was like a week and a half where I didn't really get any orders whatsoever outside of a regular who, he just likes to crack packs with his kids, and nothing wrong with that, but he was really the only one ordering when nobody else was. I was kind of vocal about that, like, hey, the crash is here, the crash is here, the crash is here. Why are people not buying like they said they were going to, trying to throw that, hey, don't be hypocritical out there, I was still buying, I'm still buying. I actually just bought 10 more Destined Rivals ETBs at a nice ripe price of 105 in ETB. So I don't know if I'm gonna average them down and throw up my average price, or if I'm just gonna take the 20 I already bought, throw them in the closet, wait for a rainy day in multiple years to throw them back out, and just take what I just bought and sell those as is. Forget about the original 20. That's probably the best idea. But back to the topic of the video, 90-day peak in May. Yeah, that was definitely my last good month. June was decent, but July was definitely rough. August, I want to say like last week, I made a couple videos. Hey, my website's starting to pop off. Hey, if my website is saying anything about the broader market, it seems that we're going to start booming again. And at the time, it seemed like it, just with my website. Nobody else was talking about it on YouTube. I made another video talking about, hey, I'm seeing this, but it could just be overall exposure. It could just be, I was making good content. I was making a lot of content. I was getting a lot of followers on Facebook. I was gaining a lot of subscribers on YouTube. I was starting to get some decent views. That's kind of slowed down a little bit, and thus my sales have slowed down just a little bit. So maybe it wasn't the broader market booming, it was just me being seen more, and that is what started making me do better, really. The saying goes, make content, make sale. So it makes sense. So there's your 90-day peak. Do I think we're, never gonna hit that peak again? I think our best shot is going to be the 30th anniversary. I think it's tough to call the peak right before probably the most hyped set of Pokemon to ever comes out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I know there's a lot of things going against the 30th anniversary, that being all the rumored large print runs, lots of supply. That is definitely going to hurt the 30th anniversary. Also being a anniversary set, we've had lackluster anniversary sets. Looking at you, 25th anniversary, that was very, very lackluster. And obviously we're not seeing that with the 30th. The 30th is definitely a way better anniversary set than the 25th. I don't know if it compares to Generations. I believe it's the Radiant Collection, goes pretty dang hard. So we'll see how these reprints do and how the new Pikachus and the potential, I think they're RBG Mews that are supposed to be really hard to hit. We'll see how those end up doing as well. But it's definitely hard to call the peak right before something like that comes out. And then right after we have a Rayquaza set that comes out. I don't know. That's just, to me, hard to call the peak at that exact time. Do we see a bigger peak around this time? The next two sets? Maybe. Again, only time will tell. If it doesn't, then yeah. 90 days ago was probably the peak. We're going to probably see some little peaks here and there, but nothing like that. I could see that definitely being the case. Moving on from the peak, is everything now just way overprinted? I could definitely see where he's coming from. Botters having 4,000, 5,000 ETBs. That's a lot of product. And botters tend to race to the bottom. If you've never seen, botters throw stuff up and then people quickly undercut each other just to get the money back, just to pay off their credit card bills. These credit card bros do not have the deep pockets that somebody like Rudy or say Blowout Cards or PokeNE, these bigger stores that can basically buy this stuff and store it. They don't need the money. The credit card bros, the botter bros, they need the money. They need to churn that out as fast as possible to pay their credit card bills. That could be a problem in the future. We have a ton of product that came through Walmart, Target, all your other big box stores. And they basically all went to botters. None of this went to the actual end user, the actual user of the product, your rippers, your collectors. Basically, none of it went to any of them. And that's a problem, because now it's got to go from all of these botters, all of these scalpers, whatever you want to call them. They're basically just botters, because your in-store scalpers aren't getting shit. They're not getting shit compared to what the botters are getting. You know, your average scalper goes into Target, they buy 2 of everything, put it on Facebook Marketplace. They make their quick $50. They use that to go gamble at the casino or buy their McChicken, whatever they go do, and that's it. They're done. They got 2, the next scalper got 2, and it goes the whole way down the line that camped outside of Target. The botters, as you can tell, can get 5 an order. They can get 10 orders of 5. They can get 1,000 orders of 5. They can end up with 4,000 ETBs, which is more than probably all of the largest stores are getting. I mean, Rudy says it himself. Who knows how big Pro Football Pete is on eBay? He probably gets something like that. Now, off of a reprint like this, he's probably not, but original allocation, maybe. But botters, they are. And they're not somebody like Rudy who's going to put it all back in a warehouse and eventually, you know, trickle a little bit on. They're going to race to the bottom if they have to. That could be a scary thing long term for investors. You know, maybe they put some back and then they're like, oh shit, I just sell it all now. This stuff has to be put into the hands of smarter people than I think your average credit card bro or your average brokey, whatever you want to call them, because like I said, race to zero. Undercut each other until there's no money to be made, and they screw each other over. Is that a bad thing? Maybe not right now if you're trying to accumulate. Long term, it could be. Is everything just overprinted? I don't necessarily agree with that statement. I just think we had a massive reprint of Destin Rivals ETBs and SPCs. And I think in a normal market where this would have went to LGSs, these probably both would be very close to MSRP, maybe even under MSRP. But the fact that they went to the botters, they didn't go to that end consumer that we touched upon earlier. They didn't go to your rippers, your collectors, your sealed investors. They went to botters who are now going to resell them to people like me, who are also going to resell them to another person who is usually going to be the end user. That is the problem. If they went to LGSs, if they went through their normal distribution, products that, a reprint that big, historically, and historically I'm looking at Sword and Shield because I was actually around during Sword and Shield, a lot of that stuff came through distribution at wholesale. So it's safe to assume, maybe not safe to assume, but I would guess that something that large would go through distro at wholesale. You're not going to have that artificial floor of MSRP or that artificial floor of a jacked up price because it's coming through wholesale. A wholesale ETB is $30. We could have potentially saw Destin Rivals ETBs under MSRP. Yeah, Dan, you probably would have been right. It just went through the wrong distribution path. Does Pokemon finally understand that? I don't know. I don't know if they care, but it's tough to see. Rudy does have a good point here. There is so much of that product out there. It is going to take a very long time to flush it all out. I don't think this is going to be something where Prismatic gets reprinted and within a month it's starting to trend back upward. This Destin Rivals reprint has gone on for about a month already through Big Box, and it's just kind of starting to level out around this 120, 125 range. But we're still waiting for more ETBs, more booster boxes to go through, your LGSs, which will probably bring the market down just a little bit more. I have a feeling we see ETBs around $80 to $100 at most LGSs, and that's going to help that price as well. And maybe we eventually just end up around this 100 to 120 mark and call that the end of the show. And again, if all of this product went through LGSs instead of big box, I think this market price would look a lot healthier, and I think it would look a lot lower and probably be MSRP. And that also goes for SPCs. The amount of SPCs that botters have versus, your everyday Joe Schmo, it's insane. These also did the same thing. Now, maybe not your first partner collection boxes. I don't see a ton of botters with those, but it could also just be there's not enough profit in it for them. I know when I go to hit up my normal connects, where I usually get some product from, they only have DR ETBs and SPCs right now. Does that mean that they got deep pockets and they can hold back all of their first partners? Maybe. I mean, first partners MSRP is like $15. So a quick double up might not be worth their time because they know they're not going to sell them for 30. They're going to have to sell them for like 20. And at that point, is it worth their time? Probably not. So they're either not going for it or they're storing it, using their gains right now from Destined Rivals at 60, we'll just call it 70 in ETB. They're using that $35, $40 profit to pay off the first partner collections boxes, and then they can keep them and just keep doing that. I could see that being what's going on, but again, I don't know. I'm not a botter. I don't deal with that, but my connections where I buy from, because I do buy from quite a bit of botters. I buy from scalpers, I buy from botters, I buy from other stores, collections, anywhere I possibly can get product, I will. One of the guys I deal with who is a botter only has the DR ETBs and SPCs. He doesn't have anything else. I don't know why that is. I didn't ask questions. How he gets his stuff, what he does with his stuff is none of my business. I just want to know what he had available. DR ETBs and SPCs. And that's part of the reason why I know there is a large reprint of these. He supplies a lot of very big shops and streamers, and he still has tons of product left over. He supplies a bunch of big discords. He supplies a lot of little fishes like me, and he still has stuff left over. Do you see what I'm getting at? There's a lot of this stuff coming out, and the amount of time, I don't know if Destined Rivals is even going to recover as fast as it took or as long as it took Surging Sparks and Twilight Masquerade. It took those 6 months, 7 months to get back up to where they were, back up over that 120 price point, because they got the reprint last Christmas, and now they're just now a bit over it. I guess that's 8 months, 9 months. They took a while. Is Destined Rivals going to be dead money now until it rotates out? Because it rotates out in 2028. Is it going to take a year to flush all this out, flush all the botters out, flush all this extra product out, to let all of this product move from the botters to everybody else? It's got to take that movement out, and it's going to take a lot of time for all these people to flush this out, to turn this over, to get into people's hands that are going to rip it, collect it, open it, whatever they're going to end up doing with it. It's going to take a lot of time to do that. Are we looking at a year? I think we may see a year. I don't think Surging Sparks is nearly as good of a set as Destined Rivals, but I think Destined Rivals has so much more supply and so much more of that supply that went to botters versus what Surging Sparks did, that even if it takes the same amount of time, you're still looking at 8 months. We're probably going to get another reprint at some point, especially if it doesn't hit MSRP. I could see that. Now, we have rumored print runs of anywhere between 30% more for the 30th anniversary and Delta Rain, or I've also heard rumors of 3 times as much supply as your normal Mega Evolution set. So think of Phantasmal Flames. 3 times or 30% more. Both of those is a shit ton. Don't matter which one's right, that's still a shit ton. Is 30% more 30th anniversary enough to calm everything down, throw that bucket of water on the flames? I don't think so. I think it will help a little bit. I think more people will get it, which will help suppress that secondary market just a smidge, but I don't think that's enough. Now, 3X, that's 4. 3X, I think would definitely be enough. I think that would essentially be Celebrations 2.0, where it's just sitting on the shelves. Your pre-orders are going to go bananas. Everybody's going to be like, oh, it's hard to get. Everybody wants this, etc. Just like the Charizard UPCs from Sword and Shield. Same thing. And then they come out, they collapse down to 0. Nobody wants them. You can't give them away. They sit on the shelves. Target, Walmart, everybody marks them down. They do Black Friday sales, trying to get people to buy it and get rid of it so they can actually have shelving. I don't know if we see that, but if there's a 3X print run, we probably would. So I'm leaning towards thinking that the 30% increase in print is probably more realistic. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to get reprints of this later down the line. That's just the initial print, the initial wave and 2 or whatever we end up getting. And we're getting that for the 30th and Delta Rain. 2 very good sets. I don't know. I know Delta Rain, I'm pretty upset that Kyogre became the ETB promo. That was a big chase card for a lot of people. And you just guaranteed it in every ETB. I know the Pokemon Center exclusive is going to be stupid expensive. Stupid. Because it's Kyogre, beautiful art, Pokemon Center. And according to the reprint of Destined Rivals, they're not protecting the promos anymore, so it's probably going to be a bitch to grade. And if all of that is true, that is going to be one expensive card. That sucks for people that collect those promos. Thank God I don't do it anymore. I can't afford it. I still just hate that whole idea. Take a different card. Take a worse, maybe not a fan favorite Pokemon and make that the ETB promo. Don't take a legitimate chase card from the set and go, oh, that's going to be our promo. Because you didn't ruin the whole set, but now there's one less giant chase card from a set that's already pretty small. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing that? I can't understand the thought process there. Anyway, guys, I don't know if we peaked. I don't know if everything's printed to oblivion. I see the thought process for the printing to oblivion. I don't really understand the thought process behind the peak. I think it would be a lot safer to call that after the next 2 sets that come out. Because after that, everything's up in the air. Nobody knows what's coming out. Is it going to be nearly as hype? Nobody knows. I bet if we get another set or 2, Aura Seeker's Lucario, it's not that great. There's too much supply. We get another set that's Mega Salamence or whatever. That's not that great. There's too much supply. I bet they either cut back print runs like they did in Scarlet and Violet, or we get that Mega Mewtwo and that hype train's going to go bananas. Maybe we get both. Maybe they make hit rates a little worse like they did for Temporal Forces. Who knows? It'd be cool to see what ends up happening. All I know is I'm in it for the long haul. My business will be here. I'll still be an investor. And I'm excited to see what happens. I'm a little bit scared because if they just print everything to oblivion, I don't know how I'm going to be able to get product moving forward under MSRP at a good price where I can then churn it out for a small profit margin to help keep growing my business. I don't think I'm big enough for a distro to even look my way. Not that I could even help them or they could help me either. That definitely scares me a little bit, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes time. One last point before we end the video. Crypto has been on an absolute tear this week. I think we're up like 20 or 24% or something like that. Now this could just be, the normal Trump news, market manipulation, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes that money does end up moving into collectibles. You feel rich. You think you got a shit ton of money to spend. I can see it, I checked my Bitcoin and I saw it was up 20%. I was like, dang, my portfolio is looking pretty good. I really am that guy. And I know a lot of other people do that too. That ego hits and now you go buy Pokemon with it. We've seen it in the past. Maybe we see some of that now. Maybe we see some of that money go into Destined Rivals or going into the 30th. I would reckon it's probably going into the 30th because everybody's afraid of Destined Rivals right now. Not a lot of people are willing to spend, the $120 it is for it because there's just so much supply. Anyway, guys, as we wrap up this video, as always, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Have we already peaked? Are we coming down from that peak? Are we never going to peak again? And is everything just simply overprinted? The botters got it all and now we're trying to flush it out? Or do you have a different opinion? Let me know in the comments below. As always, plenty of helpful links in the description of the video. Shop my website, maxpacks.com, and join the Discord. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. This is Max Packs, signing out.